Evaluation. Our intended audience is attracted by creatively composed shots, the thought-provoking voiceover, and the mystery of the protagonist. We also addressed our audience by filming in an urban location. Our target audience mainly comes from the city, and it makes it easier for them to picture who our character is, as if they know someone like this or have seen someone like this around. We also try to be as arty with our script and filming as possible. This will attract our audience because they are the type to enjoy photography and will appreciate the establishing shots used when showing scenery. We also addressed our audience with the monologue. Our target audience hates the mainstream and consider themselves an exception to society, just like the protagonists in our film. If we were to advertise our film, we would attract our audiences by advertising on certain websites, especially on the internet, because their online media consumption is high.
In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Our thriller film matches some of the forms and conventions of thriller, but not all. Our main character is a typical criminal from thriller film. He matches the forms and conventions as he has a dark past and is seen as a sociopath by the audience. It also includes non-diegetic music to give the film an edge and to cause suspense towards the end. The voiceover and monologue tells the audience what is going on through the character's mind and about his past, which is also seen in films such as Trainspotting and No Country for Old Men. It also challenges the forms and conventions as there is no sudden violence, such as crime and murder, which is built up to. Even though we do have a voiceover, we try not to give too much away at the start and what's going to happen. This matches the forms and conventions as thriller emphasises the puzzle aspect of the plot. There are clues that the viewer should be able to determine the solution at about the same time as the main character. Our thriller takes place mostly in ordinary suburbs and city, which also matches this. Who would be the audience for your media product? Our media production is generally aimed at the typical thriller audience, which is mainly males aged between 15 and 25, but feel the older generation will also enjoy our production. We went on to UK Tribes and agreed that the audience was casuals. We then shortly realised after that thriller films were quite mainstream, so then decided that our target audience was young adults. This is a young tribe aged between 16 and 24, which matched our production. However, indie kids are not associated with thriller, but this is the closest tribe we could find to match our audience. Their icons include Kurt Cobain and Green Day. They also enjoy brands like YouTube, Kerrang and HMV.
Back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the full product? I feel that in our preliminary task we used a limited range of shots compared to in our thriller film production. For example, we used mostly medium shots in our preliminary task, whereas we had much more variation in our thriller production because we used long, medium and close-up shots. Also in our preliminary task, the editing is very obvious, compared to our thriller production whereupon the editing is much smoother. This therefore made the continuity of our final piece much better than in our preliminary task. I think that we have learnt that the editing and shot selections are two of the most important parts of the production process because they can make the film look realistic or they can make it look tacky. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? Our media production would not be shown in mainstream cinemas like Odeon. Instead, our film would be more suited to smaller independent cinemas like a City Screen or an IMAX. It would be more suited to these smaller cinemas because of its limited budget and therefore it's limited to smaller cinemas because we wouldn't be able to afford to put it into a mainstream cinema. Also, our film would be well suited to film festivals like Sundance, as it is an amateur production done on a low budget and we had a limited geographical mobility.
How does your thriller represent particular social groups? The opening to our thriller represents a wide range of social groups that appeals to people who feel they're an exception to society. This is because the main character talks about how he feels he is an exception to everyone else in the system. The location we chose was Golden Grove and St Mary's, as we felt this would represent this kind of social group because it was a council estate. Although this is very stereotypical, they are often inhabited by people who also disagree with the ways of society and how it is run. But people who live in council estates aren't the only people who may feel like this. Even middle class and wealthy working people will disagree with what the government depicts as the right way to live. We felt that the props we used would detach from the council estate stereotypes, as he is wearing a smart tucked-in shirt and smart casual jacket. What have you learned about the technologies from the process of constructing this production? Well, when researching our thriller film and similar productions, we mainly use the internet and such as IMDb for film information, Wikipedia for facts and other knowledge, and YouTube to research clips and import them to our PB Works. To edit the production, we use Pinnacle Studios 12. This editing software has very limited effects and was also very temperamental when using. Next time, we have decided that we will look to use other editing software, as we wasted a lot of time re-editing and trying to sort out problems which should be the simplest task, such as adding transactions between clips, which became an ongoing dilemma. To film the production, we used the Panasonic HDC SD10 to film it. Due to it being HD, we were allowed to create clips such as the trolley shot, where the background is out of focus. We filmed the voiceover using the same camera and simply extracted the sound. This allowed us to get an effective voiceover, but we learned that the professional recording studio will be better as no background sound will be heard or the echo of the room.